Hi everyone, welcome to another summary video. Today's video is on adaptation, and this is P6 Foundation Science. So as usual, you will need to create a concept map as you are watching this video so that you can capture all the information, all the concepts and the knowledge that you need. Again, how to be successful in your concept map? Two things: your information, you must have all the information from the video, and your information must be presented very clearly and very neatly. If you're able to give me more information, if you're able to have your concept map very colorful with meaningful pictures, that will be even better. Alright, so let's move on. So what is an adaptation? Okay, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time to explain what adaptation is. Now, adaptation is basically something special that helps an organism. Remember, organism is an animal or a plant. So it's something special that helps an organism survive in their environment. So we've learned that different animals live in different types of environment, and different environment have different temperature, different types of food, different things that affects an environment. And so the animal must learn to adapt or change the way they behave or change what is on their body so that they can survive in the environment. Now I'll give you one very good example. For us human beings, now if you are in a place that is very cold, suddenly you're in an aircon room or you go to a very cold country, what are you going to do to make sure you are able to survive in that environment, that you don't freeze to death? So there are two things that you can do. So one is you can wear more clothes, wear a jacket or a thick sweater so that you're not so cold. The second one is that you can start to rub yourself or you blow. So see, the first one, I'm wearing something, I'm changing what is on my body. Okay. The second one is I'm changing my behavior, what I do. Same thing when you go to a very hot country, very hot place. Now, you are not going to wear thick sweater. You're going to try to wear a singlet or so something very thin. So that's again changing what is on your body. Or at the same time, you will be fanning yourself. Oh, so hot. Or you drink cold water. So that is changing the way you behave. So there are two types of adaptation that I just shown you. The first one, if you look here, is structural adaptation. Okay, structural means special body parts. So it can be the body color, shape, or body covering. So structural adaptation is what is on the animal's or the organism's body. The next type of adaptation is called behavioral. So behavioral is an action or behavior, what the organism or what the animal or plant can do to survive. Okay, so structural, like I mentioned, if we are cold, we wear something, wear a jacket. That's structural. We change what is on our body. Okay, so it can be a body covering. Or we could rub our hands, blow. That is a behavior, what we do. Okay, so let's move on. Now for the next few examples, I'm going to give you different ways in which animals adapt. Okay, and I'm going to give you many examples. So please take them all down. So first, we are looking at adaptations to cope with temperature. So in a very cold environment, animals, like for example the polar bear that you see here, alright, they have very thick fur and thick layer of fats. Now the purpose for that is to keep them warm. And this is a structural adaptation. So as we go along all the examples, I will show you whether is it structural or behavioral so that you have a better understanding. Now, same thing in a cold country, grizzly bears. They don't have that much, they have thick fur, but they don't have enough of fats to keep them warm during winter. So what they do is actually they will hide in a cave and they will sleep. We call it hibernate during winter. Okay, at the same time, humpback whales, you know what are whales, right? They swim in the water. They actually migrate, they move to a warmer place during winter because they are not able to handle the cold. Now, these two are behavioral, is what the animals do to survive in cold environment. Now, hot environments. So camels have very thin layer of fur to help keep them cool. So same like us, we wear thin clothes in a very hot place. Elephants have very huge ears that they use to flap and use to help to cool them down. So these are structural behaviors. Sorry, structural adaptation. Now, for rats and lizards, they actually stay in the shade, some place that's shaded, or they actually go underground. Yeah, like you see here. See these rats, they burrow underground. Because underground is much cooler, it gives them shelter from the sun. So this is a behavioral adaptation. Now, adaptations to cope with light. Plants need light. And so you notice, have you ever wondered why? You see the leaves, I mean, and if you look at all other leaves, it's always spread out. They don't stack on top one on top of the other. Why is it that they don't stack on top one after another? Yeah, if they stack on top, if they stack, the one at the bottom is not going to receive any light. But if they spread it out, every leaf here is going to receive light. So this is a structural adaptation of plants in order to get more sunlight. At the same time, climbing plants that have very weak stem, they cannot stand on their own. But they need sunlight. So what they do is they actually look for a support, something that's strong, and they will climb and grow up that support so that they can get sunlight. So that is a behavioral adaptation. Now, bats, they hunt at night, and at night is totally dark, they can't see. So in order for them to be able to survive in the dark, they actually use sound, echo. So when they shout or when they make a sound, if it hits an animal or hits something, it will bounce back to them. And so when they listen and when they hear the echo, they know that something is there. Okay? So this is a structural adaptation. Now, owls and cats, they're very big eyes. And that helps them to see clearly, because then the big eyes allows them to take in whatever light that is still in the environment. Because in the night, you have some light but not so much. Okay, so their big eyes helps them to see very clearly at night. So that's why your owls, they hunt at night as well. Okay, so this is a structural adaptation. Now, adaptations to obtain air. So mosquito wrigglers, they live in the water, but they don't have gills, so they cannot breathe underwater. So how do they survive? They actually have air tubes that sticks out of the water surface so that they can take in the air. So it's like it's something like your snorkeling. I don't know whether you have done snorkeling or scuba diving. The scuba diver will have the air that goes out of the water. The same thing like your wriggler. So this is a structural adaptation. Now, mangrove plants, because they live in the mangrove swamp, it's very muddy. So the mud has very little oxygen inside. Okay, and oxygen cannot go in because it's so thick. So what the mangrove plants will do is they'll grow their roots out of the soil, of the mud, so it allows the roots to take in more air. So this is a structural adaptation of how they obtain air. Now, adaptations to obtain food. Camels, you know why they have humps? It doesn't store water. A lot of you think it's water bottle. No, it's not a water bottle on their back. It's actually humps that stores fats. And so these fats allows them to survive for very long periods of time, many days without food. Because in the desert, you're actually very hard to find food. It's all sand. So the camels have this structural adaptation that allows them to survive very long without food. Now, eagles, if you look at the claw, you see the claw up here. Super long, super sharp. So it's used to help to catch the prey. So you see the picture there? Yeah, the eagle is catch the fish. So these claws are an structural adaptation that helps them to catch their prey very easily. Yeah? Now, adaptations to obtain water. This plant is called a cactus plant. And so the cactus plant, what is unique about the cactus, it has very thick and large stems. So you see, super fat. And the purpose is to store water. Again, cactus, they live in the desert. So desert has very little water. And so whenever it rains, it still rains, but not like as often as what we have in Singapore. So on the rare occasions that it rains, so the cactus will quickly absorb all the water and store it there. Okay, so that it can survive a very long period of time without rain or without water. Now, but that also will cause them to be very good targets to be eaten, because other animals will see, "Ooh, this is juicy, I want to eat." So their second adaptation that a cactus have, it has very, you look at this, it's like spikes, right? Do you know what these spikes are? These spikes are actually the leaves. Okay, so there are two purposes why the leaves must be so thin and spiky. One is to prevent water loss. So the thinner you are, the less water can escape. The second one, because it's so spiky, if an animal tries to eat it, ow! It'll be, oh no. You get poked by the spikes. So it prevents them from being eaten. So you see, so cactus have this structural adaptation that helps them to obtain water and store it in and keep it for a long time so that they can survive in the desert. Yeah? Cool, right? Now, camels, they live in the desert and they walk on sand. Now, you know, if you have tried walking on sand, it's not that easy. Okay, so they have actually special feet. They have what they call padded hooves, which is this, that helps them to walk on sand without sinking or slipping and falling. Now lizards, you know that lizards, they stick on the wall, stick on the ceiling. How do they do that? How come we can't do that? Yeah, spiders, lizards, all can do that. So because they have suction cup on their feet. So they have something special that's on their the feet that helps them to stick to the wall. Yeah, so that's also a structural adaptation. Now, adaptation for movement also includes frogs, ducks, things that swim in the water or paddle in the water. They have webbed feet. Yeah, so that's why scuba divers, they actually, when they go diving, they actually wear those webbed flippers. It helps them to swim. So this is an adaptation that helps them to paddle in water. Now, adaptation for protection and hunting. Now, what you see there, what in the world is that? Is that a worm? That, my friends, actually is the tail of a lizard. Okay, so the lizard has this very special structural adaptation in which it can drop its tail when it's being chased by predators. It will run and then it will drop its tail, and the tail for a short moment will still continue to jump like what you see there. And so the predator will be like, which is the one? Then some of them may go to the tail and think that it's a lizard, but realize, oops, it's actually not the lizard. So this gives them time for the lizard to run to another place. And don't worry, the lizard will grow back a new tail. Okay, so this lizard has that special structural adaptation that they can lose the tails to distract the predator. Now we've learned about camouflage, and camouflaging is actually an adaptation method. So animals camouflage, and you know there are two reasons why they camouflage. One is for protection, to hide from predators. Second is to hide from the prey so that they can pounce and eat the prey easily. Okay, so camouflaging is also an adaptation. Now, animals adapt also for reproduction, to mate and give birth to new babies. Okay, so some animals, they have adapted to be able to attract either the female or the male. So, for example, the peacock. Peacock is a male. So this is very interesting. The male is actually the more beautiful one of this species. Okay, so the peacock has very beautiful feathers, and its purpose is to attract the females. Alright, so this is actually a structural adaptation to attract the females so that they can come and then they can have babies and have more peacocks and peahens. Okay. Now, seed dispersal. We have learned about seed dispersal. Seed dispersal is also a type of adaptation so that they can reproduce and grow into a new plant. Yeah, and we have learned seed dispersal by wind, water, animals, and splitting. These are all structural adaptation so that the organism can survive, can grow again. Okay, so adaptation is all about survival so that the next generation can continue growing. So that's the end. So we have actually covered quite a bit. We've covered what is adaptation, and adaptation to cope with temperatures, to cope with light, to obtain air, food, and water, adaptation for movement, adaptation for protection and hunting, and finally adaptation for reproduction. So there are many reasons why animals adapt, and the whole purpose of adaptation is to survive in their environment. Alright, so we've come to the end of this video. Please complete your concept map, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Bye!